Hello everyone, welcome back to another weekly review. So, just to kick things off, I'm going to start with the economic calendar. We did not have any red news until Wednesday. Powell did speak, and in some places it did show it was red, but he was only doing opening remarks for a conference about something that didn't really matter too much about large banks. So, capital requirements for large banks, I think. So it didn't really it's not really something that he said that would cause the markets to move. Therefore, it's not really bad news. And then Wednesday, we have existing home sales. I don't know what Trump was speaking about. Thursday, lots of red news. That was where most of the trading were to be done. The times are off by an hour. I don't know why. But yeah, and then Friday, more red news, durable goods orders. So most of the news was towards the end of the week, and that's where I was expecting there to be the most setups towards the end of the week. At the same time, also there was a lot of earnings. I think Tuesday evening had a lot of big earnings, like a lot of big names. So another reason why things might have been more restrictive before Tuesday evening, because people are waiting for those earning reports to come out. But let's get into Monday. Monday had seen this is a hourly chart. I guess I don't put the daily chart, but mark out the midnight open price, comes running back down to that midnight open, trades beneath the overnight lows, and then makes a very large range higher at 9 o'clock. This is what it looks like in the 50-minute. 9:30 kind of opened up, didn't really give pullback or anything that allowed me to look for any trade, even if I had wanted to trade. But something like this, where midnight has moved sideways, 8:30 had started a manipulation, and 9:30 news delivered price and expanded it higher. This is typical usually on days where we're kind of slow and we have nothing to do, because Monday is still quite a big day. The weekend, there is no orders that get filled, and people have orders they want to put in on Monday, and so there is still volatility, but sometimes there's just not enough participants to have both sides of the market be efficient. And so the 9:30 open, where most of the volatility came into the market for that day when the markets opened, that's the only really time where price really did anything meaningful. And you see it just kind of move sideways or pulled back later in the afternoon. This is the 5-minute chart. My model is not present. I do think this is still tradable. Like, I'm not saying it's not it's against my rules to trade it because there's no news, but also my model is not there. So a good decision. But yeah, going forward in 1 minute, still nothing really that I see. There's no point in going 1 minute because there's no sweep. But I'm just there for future reasons. Tuesday, I have the weekly chart here. So I'm going to start posting the weekly chart more often, but let's just stay on the daily chart for now. So Tuesday actually seen a close beneath the previous day's candle, and that was interesting. It's something I was watching. I'd also have set, I believe, turned on. Let me see. Yeah, I don't know if it's turned on or off, to be honest. Because I noticed price looks different, a lot different with all this consolidation, only as of lately. But it looks like it was turned on and turned off. It closes a lot lower, forming much more of what seems to be an order block. But at the same time, we're wicking down into a bullish fair value gap, which I don't have it highlighted, but we're wicking down into there and we're closing higher. So yeah, we've sort of closed beneath the up close candle, but we're still respecting the overall structure of the market going higher. Nothing really tells me that to have a short bias. Not that it's important for me to have a bias towards my model, but I'm just talking about objectively what the charts are doing. On the 4-hour chart, this is what price has been doing, and that day, after we went up all day on Monday, we retraced down and swept this in intermediate or short-term low. I would say this is more of an intermediate term low, or short-term low, I guess. And this is like a run on stops in my view. But we took out the high here of that, and this is Friday or Thursday, and then we took out the low the next day. So no, this is Friday. So right now I don't really see where price wants to go. It's kind of like it can continue to go higher and grab and just continue the overall structure. That's what I would default to. I don't really see any more reason to go lower unless we want to start attacking more discount lows. And I don't think this is enough displacement on a higher time frame to say that this is going to be a reversal. This could just be a run on this sweep on this low. Hourly chart, 9:30 again. No news, and most of the volatility was delivered in the 9 o'clock hour. And again, this happens very often when there's no news. That's the 5-minute chart. You see just about at 9:30, we just dump lower. Nothing that would have gotten me into a trade. I don't see my model here at all. And then the 1-minute chart, no point in talking about it. We'll go to Wednesday finally, where there's high impact news. So they had unemployment claims, PMI, the manufacturing and services, and also new home sales is also red news at 10 a.m. Markets did leave a good body. They create a bit of a range, just like the previous day. So there's still volatility, but it seems to be going, if you go down to 4-hour chart now, it's a lot more defined. The body is defined a lot more of a two directions. We first go down, we close lower, sweep some low, and then we expand higher. While over here, we wick down, but continue to expand higher with the structure. Same thing here, we just had structure lower almost all day. But here we actually have the manipulation. We didn't have that earlier. We have manipulation though now. So going forward, this is the the hourly chart. Right at 9:30 seems to go lower, and then we have a reversal. This could be a Judas swing setup. We go lower beneath the day's low or overnight lows. Sweep that. On dropping down to the 15-minute chart. Yeah, right at 9:30, probably like here, this one. We have a quick reversal, pull back after we close above this inverse fair value gap. Seems like we use this 15-minute inverse fair value gap to support us. Now on the 5-minute chart, what I would want is a short-term low to be taken out, to be swept. But we don't really have like a bullish sweep here because this long wick is a short-term low. But if I take off the wicks and I just look at the bodies, this doesn't really look like a sweep. That candle is so small. That up-close candle is so small compared to this large black, this big black candle. And then the next big black candle also is quite large compared to the up-close one. So same with this next short-term low, except this time it's these large, long wicks, skinny wicks. Like there's not much girth to the entire candle. So I don't really like both these sweeps. And I've said this many times recently, but at the beginning of the year I was taking these sweeps and I was coming across a few more losses. And it's when I looked back at the data and I saw that the best sweeps happen when the bodies also clearly sweep. So turn on a line chart or use the wicks, like turn off the wicks in your settings, and you'll kind of get what I mean when it's trade the exact same way but just without the wicks, basically. Assuming where the fair value gaps would form. That's the only thing you won't be able to do without the wicks. Anyways, so there was nothing to do here. As for shorts, there could have been an opportunity to, well, not really. As for shorts, there isn't really a good sweep either. So, no, there isn't a good sweep. So again, not really relevant to look anywhere past that on the 1-minute chart. But now, Thursday, this is the big news day. And this is Friday's candle, so I think this is Thursday's candle. Wait a minute. Let me go back to Wednesday. I don't want to confuse anything. Okay. That's that candle. Okay, so I think I took this a little late on Wednesday. It must have been earnings that pushed price way higher and then had it close higher. So now, even though we saw a bit of down movement on Thursday, we're still consistently going up. Like, yeah, it closed beneath that up close candle, but we're still pushing higher. Prices still want to go higher because nothing has changed the overall structure, shown us to change. I mean, we're not trying to catch we're not trying to catch a rocket ship, like we're or time the top. We're trying to just be objective about it, and really there is no level, like key level, that price could reach to. The only really thing I would say is psychological levels. So like if we reach 25,000 or 50,000 or 30,000, those are resistance levels, because a lot of people might think to sell if they see a price of 25,000 versus 23,477. It's going to mean a lot more, or have more impact, something like 24,000 or 25,000, than something in the middle. Anyways, that being said, it's the only really thing I would look for until it starts showing any sort of bearishness, significant bearishness on the higher time frame. A 4-hour chart does not look very pretty though. I'll be honest, but it is just a 4-hour chart. And again, 1-hour chart, same thing, not very pretty, very, very large wicks. But we do kind of trend lower, sweep. We seem to maybe go lower and then go up and then sweep. This might just be the way the hours are set up. It might just look bad, but it definitely doesn't expand anywhere as much as it did the previous day. The previous day does look a lot better, and this looks like a lot of undecisiveness. It doesn't really look good from my point of view, but I did have a really nice trade here. Now from 15-minute chart, it starts to look a bit better. You start to see a very clear sweep from this low up to that high, and then price really comes down. There's still long wicks, but could just be a lot more volatility than anticipated. Just like a huge influx of volatility. But we're still, again, if you turn off the wicks, this looks really, really good. Like, the wicks do the damage and the bodies tell the story. So, like here we have a bunch of small bodies, but they're not going in one direction. They're going up and down. And so you do have a lot more, when it does that, entries. You have a lot more potential entries if it shows you the right things, the right sweeps. And again, turn off the wicks, and you get a different story. Okay, we pull back after coming up here, one tick away from the high. We pull back into this fair value gap, and then we continue to run that higher. This is the 5-minute sweep I was looking for. So at 9:30, price shot down, went up. Now it wicked above here, closed above there. This is a short. At the same time, though, we had swept lower here, so there could also be a long into this. So I didn't do anything. I waited, and then we had a much bigger move after creating this up close candle, and then a way bigger sweep, sweeping all these lows and the short-term low, and then immediately creating an order block on the 5-minute chart. So dropping down, there's also no fair value gaps here to be mitigated. There's a balanced price range, but dropping down, I see this large fair value gap, and I decide to take it. At first, I'm not sure how I'm feeling, because I look at this price action in the large wicks, and what I saw was how 9:30 went higher and lower, and then for a little bit of time at the very beginning, the Dow and Nasdaq weren't agreeing with each other, and so I was kind of a little worried and thinking, oh, maybe I won't get my trade. I was basically preparing myself to not have a trade and to be okay with that. But then I saw my trade, and I just said, I'm available to take it. Like, it's my rules. I have no excuse not to take it. I haven't taken a trade this week so far, and it won't hurt to risk if I lose this much. I think it's worth it. And so I went through that in my head, and I took a trade. I accepted the risk. I risked about around 340, 350. Price came down to the fair value gap. I entered where you see, and then I had 3RR at the high. Now, when price came all the way up to this high here, and it came short about 1 or 2 ticks, listen, I used to really get very upset when things like that would happen, where it would consolidate like this. Actually, coming up to this high, as it started consolidating here, I was already thinking, oh, maybe I should take profit. And my Chromebook was behind me. I was streaming, I was playing games, and I kept looking back at my Chromebook every now and then as it was consolidating and thinking, oh, partial maybe, nah, I'm gonna hold it. And what happened is price went up, and I went upstairs. It was my birthday, actually, on this day, and I had my longest trade and the most profit I've ever made so far on my birthday. It was really cool. but I was holding this trade and I saw it going up as I was eating cake, and I stopped looking at it because I went upstairs to eat the cake. Stopped looking at it. I was telling my brothers and my family about the trade I was currently in. I was just about to hit profit, and then it did this. And the reason I was a bit cheesed is because I told people about it and it hadn't hit yet. So now I needed to wait to see if it was gonna hit, and I think that really helped me not actually close this position. Because my rules say I shouldn't close this position. The most I'm allowing myself to do is put my stop to break even. But before, I would choke out the trade, where I try and take away some early profit or some small profits, or take some partials off just to pay myself. And it does mentally protect you. But in the aftermath, you kind of realize if it does end up working, you realize that that wasn't part of your rules to choke a trade. You just got greedy, and you now messed up your RR. But if you think that it will preserve more mental equity, then it will make you money, like fiscally, then that's always, in my opinion, that's always better. But I've gotten better at holding these sorts of trades and staying in these trades for a while and trusting my model and being okay with the fact that it could come all the way up here and then come all the way back to break even. I've learned to kind of trust it, and so I allowed it. Now, think about if I had choked my trade, let's say I was about at $700, I decided to close it, and then $200 I decided to move my stop up to. Or not decided, I was thinking about it for a very small amount of time, and I said no. If I had done that, I would have been giving up. This trade was $1,200, so I would have been giving, let's say $700. That's like half of twice that money I just made. That's another that's another $500 that I could have made. So I said, all right, is this worth $500 to bring home $700? Like, I'm not paying $500 to bring home $700. That's basically making $200 there. Like, you see the way I look at it is I take a trade and I already have a guaranteed either profit or stop. And if I mess with that, then it messes with the system, the risk to reward. I can't actually track it accurately. The only thing I really consider doing is taking early partials, like Mark Douglas talks about. So that way, if you reduce your risk as early as you can, as the price moves to the levels that it always hits to, and then you let it go to the bigger levels, which are your bigger profits. And securing a small piece, though, is nice because it helps you mentally stay in the trade. But yeah, this is the afternoon's 1 minute chart. There's nothing really to look at there. But one more thing about this trade is how it felt taking this. I saw the sweep, and I kind of could see after it started to go up, it's gonna continue going up now. And as it was working, I was so happy, elated, not because of the money I was gonna make on this, but just because I realized all I have to keep doing is following this plan, and I've been following it, and it's been showing me nothing but success. Even though there's losses, it's still success, and I'm really, really seeing that. I understand that losses, yeah, sometimes they suck. You take a loss, you don't make money, but I still understand that that's okay. I'm okay with the loss. Missing a shot in basketball is gonna happen, but I don't lose my shit when I miss. I just take the next shot the same way, or I readjust. That's it. I think all it is really accepting the risk and trading, and I feel like as I've done that, okay, because I want to talk about now what happened the next day. I want to watch my stream. So I did stream on Friday. Close above it. There you go. This could actually be a long entry. I just don't like how wide my stop would be. I have a 20-point stop. So at first I said I don't like how wide my stop would be because I see the sweep range. I'm already entering halfway into that range. And usually I like to enter towards the lower part, discount part of the sweep, of the bullish sweep. That's where the best entries are. So maybe on the order block there. But the fact that we've closed all the way up here, it's just not comfortable entering all the way up there. It feels like I'd have a 40-point stop or 50-point stop. But I measure my stop and I see it's only 20 points. And I said, well, it can go a lot further than that high. It can go up all the rest of the day if it wants. And then I kind of just regretted what I just said. Because I just told myself that it's a bad idea to take this trade. It doesn't look good. and then I measure out the stop, and I see it's really not that bad. I don't really trading today. Hear what I say here? Yeah, see, I'm not really interested in. I have like a 20-point stop, and like, yeah, see, I'm not really interested in trading today. I don't know. I don't really. Can't really place my finger on it, but I don't really like this. Okay, so here I'm saying I can't place my finger on it, but I don't really like this. So, yeah, I kind of get that, oh, okay, yeah, that is a nice stop. But then I measure how much I'd have to profit for, and I look at how much the 930 has moved so far, and I see that I'm holding this in huge trade just like yesterday. And I'm thinking to myself, do I want to be in a trade for 3 hours right now? Like, mind you, I had not slept at all that day. So I worked the night before. I closed, and then I went to my buddy's house to pick up in my old room, to pick up some things that I left there, and then I drove all the way back to the country to where I currently live in right now. So I did a lot of driving that night. I was really tired, and I stayed up all night on my computer because there was just no point in going to sleep at that point. I wanted to be available to stream and to look for trades the next morning. But this isn't the trade I felt like taking. So even though this is my model and I'm acknowledging that I could take it, I'm not logged into my futures account because I'm not too excited about trading. And unless it's just not something that, like, I don't know, the littlest kind of negative sign that I see or that I tell myself, such as I don't like how this looks because I think the stop will be 40 points, kind of turned me off completely from trading. And I wasn't really in a state or mood to put risk on anyway. So I think I made a good decision, but this trade did work. All right, let's just finish what I was saying. Open is, I don't know, it just doesn't look like. I had a trade yesterday. I don't really want to take something and stay in this for a while. I don't know. And then I do end up trying to log in. I said I could take it. So here I'm trying to log in. Don't really feel like putting risk, to be honest. Like, that's the whole truth. So I'm saying, like, I don't feel like putting risks. That's really the truth. Like, but I'm still trying to sign into my account and then maybe take. That's greed right there. Like, it is my model. I am available to take it. There's no reason I shouldn't take it other than personally how it would make me feel. And I think I made a really, really good decision here of actually not taking the trade. And I think this is exactly what makes a trader successful long term, is he's able to know when he's in the state to trade and when he's not in the state to trade. Because even though this would have worked, what if this would have lost? What if I would have taken this trade and it would have lost and I was that mentally exhausted and I would need to go to sleep right after? Like, do you think I would have had a fun time, a fun rest of my day? Probably not. And I know because I've been through this enough times to know how it feels when I'm in the state to trade and when I'm not. I did still take this trade on a Top Step account on a challenge and I felt like I was able to do that because there was no risk there. There was no fiscal risk. It's not a live account. It's a challenge, and I don't care if I lose it. That trade ended up working, and I basically passed my challenge. I didn't follow the consistency rule, so I need to make 216, which is annoying. Anyways, it doesn't matter. Basically, it's basically passed. I just need to make a bit more than the profit target. Anyways, so I'll just really quickly go through what happened that day. It's a daily chart. And again, continue to go higher. Nothing telling us we're going lower just yet. I think, personally, we're waiting for a catalyst event. But this is still a pretty good price action. We were traced into a previous day range, into a discount, consequent encroachment of that wick, you could say, or this large fair value gap, and then we continue to go higher in the morning. So again, 9:30 makes the big move after sweeping a short-term low. After going into discount, it makes an initial move lower and then it goes higher. This is how it looks like on the 15-minute. There's not much pullback here. It just kind of goes in one direction the whole time. And this was the trade I was talking about where we swept the bodies, swept two, even though there's a lot of wicks, turned the wicks off, it looks a lot better. And then yeah, there's a lot of consolidation up here. I don't know what happened up here, but imagine I'm sitting through all this and I'm waiting to go to sleep, waiting to go to sleep, waiting to go to sleep, and I have to sit through all this. And mind you, trading is very, very mentally draining. The amount of cortisol that's produced when you're trading, like, there's a reason why I sometimes I have a stress ball, or I like to distract myself, read a book while I trade, or not pay too much attention to the chart. Is because it's how mentally draining it is. And if I know there's not going to be a trade at 10 o'clock, I sometimes purposely like don't look at the 10 o'clock and wait for 11 o'clock, or like don't pay too much attention, or I'll look at it every 5 minutes or so, because I'm trying to do my best to preserve the mental capacity that I have to actually trade. But the trade worked really, really nicely. There's almost no pullbacks. It just kind of consolidates a little bit into lots of profit. So, I mean, it would have probably been at first pretty easy to hold this trade. But, you know, from a perspective of, you know, looking at it after the fact, this looks like a really, really nice trade. Like, it moved so much. I would have made back-to-back, like the range of the morning. And that would have capturing the entire morning's range, like that back to back. That would have been, that thought was amazing. And I started beating myself up. I actually started beating myself up. I'll show you what I said in my Discord journal. But I said a little bit later at 12:41, once the trade concluded. I'll be honest. The only reason I forgot to. I said it at first, no sleep. I didn't want to risk real money, which is true. But I'll be honest, the only reason was I forgot log into my live account and I wasn't ready to enter. That's not true. I'm just beating myself up here. I'm trying to find a reason why. Like, I see it as being weak. You know, I see it as I didn't take the trade because I was too weak. And that's destructive. That's not good. So I want to correct this, and I'm gonna make sure I do, because this is not you know, this is not good. But that being put aside, you know, it's important just to have compassion, be easy on myself, and I'm really, really happy looking back on everything on a more of a rational or objective mind, like objectively viewing things. I rewatched my live stream, and this is actually exactly why I live stream. It's not because I care what people see. It's because, like, I use it to actually study and look at, how did I react. And I wish I could have my camera on, but my camera, I think there's some hardware issue with it. It keeps lagging. But I would have wanted to see how my body was, if it was tense, or how my breathing was, or, you know, what I was looking at, my facial expression. Those are all things I wish I could see. That's the next step. But I would have, I don't know, to be honest. But yeah, that would have been interesting to see. But yeah, I think that I just did a really good job of being able to know my limit, and I was responsible, and I'm proud of that. So, anyways, with that being said, that's it for the weekly review today. I hope if you watched the whole thing, I really hope you took away something from it. And I really hope I've inspired or helped her in any way, motivated in any way with the talk that I gave, with the experience I shared with you, in my experience. Or maybe you've been through the things I've been through and it made you smile. If that, just whatever it is, the reason you watched it, however entertaining I was or intrigued you were, I thank you for it. And hopefully I'll be able to continue doing these in the future. And good luck next week. I will see everybody next week. Bye.